Good morning, everybody. My name is Marissa Johnson. My colleagues Caitlin and Amanda are here with us in the back. If they have some comments, they'll pop in here and there, but I'll be mostly talking this morning. So today we are talking all about accounts receivable on QuickBooks Online. If you weren't here the last training, some of you already may be utilizing this module, some are looking to utilize this module, or some are even just looking to move online and currently use desktop or another software. So hopefully this training is helpful to know what to expect, and maybe you'll have some takeaways after today. So I'm Marissa, Caitlin is sitting over there, and Amanda, most of you probably worked with Amanda in the past. I've been here at Lutz for 3 years now. I'm a senior accountant in the CAS department. So I do mostly day-to-day accounting for other clients, cleanups monthly, quarterly, annually, and everything to do with the QuickBooks Online software. We have a team here that, troubleshoots any issues our clients may have. And we've been hosting our internal and external trainings, Caitlin and I, throughout this whole summer. So we've learned a lot as well. Caitlin, do you want to introduce yourself? Amanda? Good morning. Oh, you can sit anywhere. Perfect. Okay, so let's get started. So today our key takeaways are, we'll have a general overview of the accounts receivable module. We'll go over the components of the sales center. We will go through creating estimates and invoices, the customization part of that. We will also be going over creating estimates, invoices, and sales receipts. Then we will go over how to create credit memos, customer refunds, and bad debt, as well as apply it properly to the invoices you are wanting to. Then we will go through receiving payments and deposits. Then lastly, we'll go over the reporting. Most of you are probably familiar with the AR module or AR summary aging report, but there's some other reports that may be helpful for you. And then we'll go over some common errors and general notes. So lots of information today. Hopefully everyone has some coffee or. Okay, so for general overview, the benefits of using the AR module is to collect and track payments. You can get paid faster. You can access reports. You can receive payments through QuickBooks Online. And you can also manage late payments and collections. Hi, good morning. And I'll be hopping between the live file and the PowerPoint. So I'll have the PowerPoint in front of me here. So we're gonna hop over to the live file right now. So this is how the QuickBooks Online file looks like when you first open it. In the left-hand side here, there's a bunch of modules here. We're gonna be in the sales module. So this is how you access that accounts receivable. If you click on it, here is the general page. So this is the overview tab. There's some quick actions here, and this is all customizable, by the way. If you find that some of these are, all these here, if you want to move them up, whatever you find most useful for information. But this is just the standard. Some quick actions here. There's customers, products and services, estimates, invoices. And then all along the top here are the actual tabs that we'll go through. This one, all sales here. It kind of gives you a overview of what is currently happening. So right now there's 2 estimates outstanding. We have 5 overdue invoices that we need to collect on. There's some open invoices and credits, and there's 2 that are recently paid. Under the, okay, so we'll just kind of do a general overview of these tabs. So this is the invoices tab. Here we have all invoices. So these are the overdue invoices. Here are some not deposited or deposited invoices. And then if you scroll below, these have all the recent transactions here. You can filter by what you need to look for. You can filter by the date, and then you can also create invoices here. In the estimates tab, very similar. We can create estimates here. We'll go through all of these in detail. Here are the sales orders. Here are payment links. So this is if you want to receive payments through QuickBooks Online. Here is the customers tab. So all your customers that you receive payments from. You can also add new customers here, and it tells you some information of which customers have outstanding invoices. And then lastly is products and services. So when you're selling your product, this is where they would all be listed here. So I'm going to hop over to the customers tab quickly. So here you can create new customers. Once you select new customer, all this detail is going to come up. You'll just, the required info is just like the name, anything that has a star next to it. There's some addresses you can put in and some notes. You can also select if this customer is tax exempt. Okay, so we are going to talk about estimates and invoice template customization. So in the estimates folder here, we're going to create an estimate. Some of your estimates and invoice page may not look like this. QuickBooks Online just released a new update to how visually this tab works. At the top, there'll be a view estimate with a new look. If you click that button on the top here, it'll hop you over to this look and you can't go back to the old look. So eventually the previous look will go away. We just don't know when. So here is how an estimate looks. If you look over to the right-hand side, and if you select design, this is where we can customize how an estimate will look for your customers. We'll hit add and edit. Select new style, estimate. Okay, so on the right-hand side, this is what, if you print out an estimate, this is what your clients will receive. We can design it to however you'd like. You can change the layout, you can add a logo, you can customize the margins, you can change the color. So however you like it to look based on your, your company colors. We head over to the content. So you can click on the header, you can change the business name, the phone number, email, add your address, website, etc. Lots of things to customize. If you want to display your shipping, your expiration date. So this is an estimate. So if you're, in the construction industry, your estimates may expire. And then if you click below here, it changes what details you can add. So it's a really nice feature to make it, yours. And then you can also click at the bottom here. You can add a note. to make the fonts bigger. And then lastly, the email portion. This is so you can email the estimate directly to the customer. And this is how the body of the email will look. So the subject will say estimate, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from your company name, and it will come from QuickBooks notifications at intuit.com. So if you do send an estimate from QuickBooks, it will come from a QuickBooks email. And you can change the body of the message. And once you're happy with how it looks, you can preview it. So if I send out an estimate through email or if I print it out, this is exactly what the customer will see. Same thing with the invoice here. If I want to do an invoice, it won't save the estimate customization. So you'll have to do it again for the invoice. But this is what it'll say. It'll say invoice here, and then same thing. You can, change color, format, logos, very similar to the estimate. You can click all these different tabs and the email as well. So this is what the client will receive. It'll say new invoice and from QuickBooks again, and then it will show that an invoice is due. Does anyone have any questions so far? Oh, yeah.
In there so that it can show everything body. Depending on how you like to send them out, there's some options up there. Want to be able to actually print out the check.
Thank you, Amanda. Okay. So now that our customization is ready to go, we're gonna go ahead and create estimates, invoices, and sales receipts. So we're gonna hop over to the sales module. There's also this plus new at the top. It's like a quick access toolbar. All of your customers are listed here, so you can do the same thing without having to go into that sales module. You can create invoices, receive payment, print out a customer statement, balance, create estimates, credit memos, and all of the below. We're not really going to go over the shipping and label because that's an additional application you can buy with QuickBooks Online that they can print shipping. If you are interested in doing that, we can go over that, you can go over that with us, but we haven't used that yet. So I'm going to show you both ways. So if I go to plus new and estimate, it'll bring us to our estimate page. If we go through the sales module and hit estimate, it'll show the same template here. So the required information on this estimate, and I'm going to make this a little bigger because I can't quite see. Okay, so the estimate here. So the required information is we'll need to add a customer. We'll need to put an expiration date. And once the client does accept, you'll put an accepted by and you'll put the date. So if you don't already have the customer name, you can add customers on the fly. You can hit add new here and the same drawer will pop up to add your customer name, email, and information. Or you can go back to the customers module and add them there. So we'll want to, let's say for ABC company, we're going to create an estimate for them. I don't know, we won't have all this information, and we're gonna say it's gonna expire on the 30th. And then it's not accepted yet. So product and service, I'm gonna choose accounting services. And for $100. That's my estimate to the customer. So that's how it will look. I'm gonna save it here. Okay, and let's say by the 30th, we're gonna accept, the customer is going to accept this estimate here. So I'm going to select the 30th as the accepted date. Now you can, before I saved it, this right here says it was pending, that's the status. If I save it here, so they accepted it, and we'll select accept. And then we can convert this exact estimate to the invoice. So we're gonna go ahead and convert it. And this pop-up will happen. How much do you want to invoice? You can invoice them the total estimate. You can do a percentage or amount, and you can manually fix each line. So I'm going to create this a whole invoice for the entire estimate of $100 and create invoice. I'm not going to click that quite yet, but I want to show you there's other spots that you can accept this invoice. So I'm going to go back to pending. Now here is the pending invoice here. If I do the drop down here, I'll have to edit. I can accept it here, save and close. And then I can convert to the invoice here. And then the same pop-up will happen as well.
You have to have progress invoicing turned on. Don't have it turned on, will not get that pop-up.
Yes, progress invoicing is on the subscription level of QuickBooks Online Plus or higher. So if you have a lower level subscription, that pop-up won't happen. Okay, so let's create our invoice. So for $100, we're gonna convert the invoice. We're gonna do the total of the estimate, and we'll create the invoice here. So now our accounting invoice turned into an invoice here. What's nice about this is you can attach, any notes you may have with the clients. You can, attach images or files. So this is what the invoice looks like. It's very similar to the estimate page, except, there's no estimate expired or accepted date. So now it's an invoice, we're ready to bill. The customer name stuck here, the address stuck here, and our products stuck here as well. So if that all looks good, let me show you one more thing here. So I hit convert to invoice. If, let's say, I don't want to convert to invoice, I'm going to leave without saving. Now, if I create an invoice for ABC Company here, this suggested transaction pops up, and it's going to tell me, hey, you already have estimates for this particular client. Do you want to create an invoice with that? So I can add it through here as well. I also have another invoice estimate outstanding with this particular client. So I added that. estimate to the invoice. And now I am going to save it. So let's say that we did not create an estimate and we just want to create an invoice. So we'll hop over to the invoice tab. We can select create an invoice, or we can go into plus new and create an invoice here. It'll bring you to the same page. Let's say I don't have the customer for this one. We'll add another customer, CYX customer. I don't know where the address is, but the name is really all that's required. If I add the customer here, it'll be the same look. So you can add your products and services for electrical for $100. If you have classes, this is where you'll code the classes to, although the customer will not see this class in the invoice. And I'm going to say that this is a taxable event, and we'll go over sales tax in a little bit. Oh, they can't make this. It's, oh, okay. So sales tax is based on the shipping address. Since I did not put an address, it will not calculate the sales tax. So we'll need an address. And the same thing here, we can customize. All of your designs here will be saved to whatever design. So right now it's on the standard. If I want to switch over to my invoice here, it will switch the design of how it looks. Okay, so let's say I do not have a product and service for this particular invoice. I'm going to add a new one here. So this will pop up. I'm going to say that my service is plumbing. It's a service type. You can select service, inventory type, non-inventory, or bundle. If you are using QuickBooks Desktop, the items that are not available on QuickBooks Online are other charge, subtotal, discount, and payment. So that's gonna, you'll see a different view on QuickBooks Online. And then you can add to your classes here. You can add to different categories. So you can bundle your services and add it to the category. And then here is the income account. So this is for GL mapping. If you have different types of sales, let's say if this is a type of like a plumbing repair shop, I would want to track my plumbing sales. I want to track my electrical sales. So I'll have all these different types of sale income GL accounts. And this is the sales tax rate. So it's a taxable event. And you could also track if you are purchasing this service from a vendor. We'll touch base a little bit on the purchasing part in a little bit. So I'm going to save and close here. No, there's already a product. Oh, we already made a, okay, plumbing one. Okay, so I'm going to add an address to this vendor. I'll put our Lutz address. Save it here. Let's see. Oh, I have to put a shipping address as well. And I want this to be calculated. Okay. So so if I click on see the math, this drawer pops up. This is saying how your sales tax is calculated. This customer is not sales tax exempt. It's shipping from Omaha and shipping to Omaha, so it should be at 7%. Why is it not working? Is it because I did? Ah, that makes sense. Sorry, I can't see very well. Can I close it? It's stuck now. Okay, let's put $5,000. Okay, so now that I put an amount, it shows that it's going to be 7%. And that's because of where we're shipping the service to, which is in Omaha, Nebraska. So if we go to see the math again, it is calculating based on the state of Nebraska at 5.5%. And then it's also taxing the Omaha city tax at 1.5% to create a total of 7%.
So unlike desktop where, you know, you kind of have to create both of them and then combine them together in order for your sales tax report to kind of look like you want them to and give you the information online. And online, they've made it really nice where you can just do that auto calculation, and as long as you look at see the map, make sure that it is pulling the right information, you shouldn't have to create any other tax. So if you're shipping to Florida, it's going to try to do Florida. If it's not set up as something that you are currently collecting tax on, you know, it's going to give you a warning that it's not set up. But otherwise, it is pretty nice because it's going to flow through and you don't have to worry about setting up all the different counties, cities, and the different states that you're in that you're collecting sales tax for. So it's going to automatically do it. You got to make sure that the shipping to and from is set up with the customer so that it will calculate properly. And then if, you know, if they are exempt, it will tell you that, which is nice. And then it will flow through to your sales tax report properly.
Yeah, there are customizations with the sales tax. We don't recommend using this. You know, it'll mess up the automatic calculation that QuickBooks Online does. I don't know an instance where you would rush.
The only time we is like, again, maybe it's a little behind, say, Waterloo is now instead of 1.5, it's 1.75. QuickBooks hasn't updated it yet. You know that it updated, you got the notification. You know all the time about those. You may want to override it to your own, the time you need to notify. So some of that happens sometimes, just, you know, with the systems and updates and stuff. So that's why I always, you know, if you know that it's not calculating right, I always like to look at the map, make sure that it's pulling through everything, and then just go set up one until it's ready. You can use that one to that particular stuff. So ready to go. So that's going to be the thing which said with the desktop, you know how the desktop you have like a payment type that you can set up, put on an invoice if you receive a payment, or the discounts and stuff. In here, since they don't have it, if you set it up as a service item, as a payment, it's going to show your sales tax report a little funny because it's going to actually put it in as negative, but the sales tax is correct. So just keep that in mind as you're doing that. Still kind of go over that a little bit more with sales receipts, but just in the back of your head, you know, with that limitation of only having 3 different items that you can set up, like on product service side, payment option is not one of them yet. Telling them that we need one. So hopefully, maybe they'll give us one eventually.
I'm gonna save this invoice here. Okay, so let's use Amanda's example. Let's say Waterloo has not updated their, you know, their rate yet, or sorry, QuickBooks Online has not updated their rate yet on Waterloo. So we'll go back into the invoice that we just created. I'm going to do it by date. Here's my XYZ. So let's go and edit the invoice. change this to Waterloo. And then let's go ahead and see the math here. So it did not pick up Waterloo. Ah. Does anyone know what Waterloo is? Thank you. Thank you. What is it? 68069? Okay. Thank you. Okay. So I saved that there. Let's see the math. Waterloo does not have its own, but let's say you got a letter in the mail and there is one. So this is a great time to use that customized sales tax. So we are going to no, that's not it. We have to go in the product and service for that one. Sorry. Okay, so we're gonna have to hop into the actual product and service here. Oh, sorry. We're gonna add rate here. So right now it's calculated for auto. We're gonna add the rate here. So the single, we're gonna do Waterloo. And then we'll say it's 1.75%. I don't know if this is gonna. So we just did the city tax, and it overrode the Nebraska tax. So when you do these, just make sure you're doing both Nebraska and Waterloo separately. So we'll have to do a combined rate here. So we'll do sales tax. Oh, how did that go? Sorry. Add rate, combined. So we'll do state, Nebraska Department of Revenue for 5%, and then Waterloo down here. Why is it doing that? No, I'm putting tab. It's like overwriting my sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. Okay. Why is it not letting me? Okay, it doesn't like what I'm doing. I'm gonna start over. Okay. Why is it not doing anything? Yeah, another products and services. Let's try this one more time. Okay, there you go. Combined, Nebraska. So we'll do 5. Oh, we know Nebraska is 5%, and then Waterloo. I'm guessing it's because that one worked. So now it did a combined rate of 6.75. And then let's see the math here. And it'll just show you how you created your sales tax. We're gonna hop over to the sales tax center so we can see it if for some reason that didn't work like it didn't work for me. Under the taxes tab and sales tax here. There's your Nebraska Department of Revenue. That's how much and it shows you the calculation here. And then our sales tax setting. This is where our custom rates are as well. So right here, you can see Nebraska combined, we did Nebraska and Waterloo. And you can edit, and then you can add your other rates as well. So hopefully, you know, if you're all selling in Omaha, it'll all calculate automatically and you won't have to touch this feature, but you know, just be wary of that calculation. Does anyone have any questions here? Perfect. Okay, so we'll hop back over to our invoice. I'm gonna go to plus new invoice. Now, if you click this, this is the recently created invoices. I'm gonna go back to the one that we just created, the XYZ invoice. So that's a quick way to find your recent invoice that you made. Okay, so I am happy with this invoice from Waterloo. I think the sales tax is calculating correctly. Oh, it overrode it. Good thing I checked the math again. So there's my combined rate at 6.75. So I'm happy with this. Now the options below here, you can print and download this invoice. That's what it will look like when we send it to our customers. You can purchase shipping labels. We haven't gone over this, but if I click this, it'll bring you to QuickBooks partners with Ship Engine to create those shipping labels. So if you want to explore that, you'll have to sign up with Ship Engine. Yes, I want to leave. More actions here. You can make a copy of the invoice, delete it, void it. This transaction journal is nice to see how the accounting is mapped behind the scenes. If I select this transaction journal, it'll tell me exactly which accounts this invoice is hitting. So this particular invoice, if you see that it's increasing our accounts receivable and it's increasing our sales, and it's also increasing our sales tax payable. So that's a nice way to see how the actual accounting behind the scenes are going. And you can hit transaction journal for almost every, like anything that you do in QuickBooks Online. Now, just be cautious when you do hit that transaction journal, it takes you out of that invoice. So I'm gonna have to go back in and find that invoice. Going back to our recent transactions. XYZ. And that was under more actions. You can also see the audit history. So if you have a team working on it, you can see exactly who worked on this invoice and who created it. And you can also print packing slips. That's the same thing with the by shipping label as well. Now over here, you can save this invoice. You can save and new, you can save and close. And then this tab here, you can review and send. And you can share links. So this link, you can share this exact link to your clients directly. If I select that. So this link, you'll just copy this link and you can paste it in an email. You can also review and send. And you can email it directly. Lastly, we'll go over sales receipts. So sales receipts is very similar to an estimate or invoice. However, you would use this when your customer pays you immediately for the products and service, and you may not have, had a chance to create an invoice or estimate at the time. So let's say we did our plumbing service, we never gave the customer an invoice or an estimate, and we're going to just create a sales receipt in our QuickBooks Online file. So yeah, I cannot see right now. Oh, sorry. All sales here, new transaction, and sales receipt. or you can go to the plus new and sales receipt here. So this will create, it'll kind of skip the AR portion. So we'll do a practice one here. Let's say for accounting co, we did some plumbing services on that date. Let's do plumbing. And we did it for $1,000. We did not create an invoice. The customer paid us upfront. The sales tax right here is calculating to $70. We can change it to, whatever we want to do. It's automatic here or whatever, wherever you did the service. And let's save it. So under more here, we can see our transaction journal. And it skipped the AR portion because we already received the cash. And it increased your sales as well as your sales tax. So it kind of bypasses the AR portion of the service. Okay, that was a lot of information. Anyone want us to go back and look through any feature, or everyone feels pretty good about this? Awesome. Okay, so now we're gonna hop over to credit memos. So credit memos are for, if the customer does a return, if the customer, if you're going to give them like a 20% credit for early payment, anytime you want to reduce a customer's balance. So we're gonna hop over to sales here. Under new transactions, you can do a credit memo here. There's your credit memo. You can also go to the quick plus new and credit memo here. It's going to look exactly like the estimate and invoice screen. So you'll have the customer here, you'll have the product and services, and the sales tax as well. So let's say for the XYZ company, or sorry, ZYX company, we are giving them a credit of $20 for their service, or for our services. So $20 here. So that's what it will look like. Oh, the shipping address did not save. Okay, so I put the Waterloo address in the previous invoice. It did not save under my actual customer. So let's go back. We're gonna leave without saving. Because I added that customer on the fly, it did not save my address. So I'm gonna go ahead and just grab this information here. I'm gonna copy it. And I'm gonna hover over to my customers list and update it on the actual customer. So I'm going to edit this customer. And then the address here, I'm going to save it. It's probably not gonna like this address because it doesn't exist. Oh, okay, that worked. Okay, so let's go back to the credit. So under all sales, new transaction, credit memo. There you go. Now my address saved. So now it's going off of based on location. Again, we just want to make sure that tax is correct. Now it's only doing the Nebraska tax, but remember we withheld the Waterloo tax as well. So we're going to have to do our custom rate at 6.75 to make sure that we, get those exact sales tax back. So the total credit is $21.35. We're gonna save it here. Now QuickBooks Online will automatically apply the credits if you have a new invoice. That's just an auto setting. You can go ahead and change that in our settings here. I'll show you where that is. So in our, where's the advance? Our account settings. In the sales module. Busy. Sorry, I'm having trouble seeing. Products and services. Is it not on the tab here? Is it the advanced? Sorry, okay. So in your accounts and settings advanced, here is the automatically apply credits. We have turned this off. If you go into your own settings and the advanced tab, it'll show that it's turned on. So if you create the credit memo and then if you create a new invoice, it will automatically apply that credit. It won't retroactively apply it to an old invoice. It'll only auto apply to a new one. So if you'd like to turn that off, you can do that. Okay, so I created the credit memo. Now I have a credit memo out there and I also have the customer invoice outstanding. And we can check that in our AR aging report and we'll hop back on, but I just kind of want to show you how it will look like if AR aging. So, oh, sorry. I cannot see that far. Should have worn my glasses. Here's our AR aging. There is our, yeah, I think I did it for the 30th, right? Okay, here you go. So here's the credit memo that I had, and then here's the current balance due. If you can see that they're not, right now, they're not applied to each other. So we're gonna have to apply it to this invoice here. Now to do that, we're going to plus new, receive payment, or go into the sales module, receive payment. We're gonna select X, we're gonna select this customer. And once this pops up, you're gonna see that the invoice here shows the open balance. And then if you go below, it shows the credit memo. And that will apply the full $21 to this invoice. So let's save and close that. And then if we look at our aging report, now that credit memo is applied. So if you go to your, your AR aging, you see a bunch of negatives and open invoices. All you'll have to do is plus new, receive payment, and get all those credits applied. Okay, now let's say you already, let's say the customer returned the product. We'll have to create a credit memo. Let's say we are giving them a refund of $50. We're gonna have to make sure that our tax is updated. So now the total refund that we're gonna have to give the client is this $53. If it is an inventory item that they're returning, QuickBooks Online will automatically put that item back into inventory. If you do not want that item back into inventory, we'll have to do an inventory adjustment to take it out of inventory. So we are going to refund the company, this client $53. then we will have to create an expense here because we're giving them the cash back to the client. It's coming from the cash checking account on 9/30. And then our category here is going to be our accounts receivable account. It wasn't exactly 50, but. So I'm going to save here. Oh, and if I want this to be sales tax. I'm sorry, we would put the total amount. So it was, what was it, 53? 53.38, okay. So that includes that sales tax that we calculated. So we're giving back the client the full 53.38 here. Okay, so we're gonna save and close there. That's the check that we're handing back to the client. And then if we hop on over to our AR, it shows that there's a 0 here and the remaining balance. Now we're just going to have to apply what we created to each other. So we'll have to do a receive payment to the same customer. And then here you can see all the outstanding transactions. There's the credit memo that we did. There's the expense that we'll have to clear, and we'll select this invoice as well. Oh, no, sorry. We'll just have to apply the expense and the credit memo, and then this will be outstanding in your bank rec until that check clears.
Like the self-product, the current product, like you're getting the product back, so then you're going to get the credit memo and put it back in. And then you gotta get it out, right, like get payment somehow, so that's like, instead of putting it like funds, because we're not funding that, we actually got the product back. So that's why we have to do it that way in order to make sure that it's really stick for, so put that item, not to.
Perfect. Okay, and then lastly, if the scenario is, let's say you have an invoice to the customer for $5,000, they overpaid you $550. You have to refund that $50 back to them. But your AR, so let's say you created an invoice for, and let's actually just do an example here. Let's do an example here. So let's say, we did accounting services, the amount here for $5,000. We're not going to do tax on it. So let's save that here. Let's say that's when we received payment on this. Let's say the customer paid us $500 more. Oops. On this invoice, so. So now we're gonna have an open $500 amount since the payment was received here. So the amount to credit is $500. So that would be a scenario when we would create this $500 as an expense, and we will reduce our AR. So I'm gonna leave here. So before I apply the payment there, I'm going to have to create an expense. We're going to choose accounts receivable. The amount is $500. And I'm gonna save here. There you go. Okay, so let's go back to that invoice for $5,000. Now let's say the customer gave me, the $5,500. So I'm gonna receive payment here. They paid me 5,500. I'm going to uncheck all these invoices here, select the $5,000. And then here's my expense. So we're gonna refund them back this $500. You'll have to write a check or however you make that payment, and you'll see this expense on your bank rec. So there's 3 different scenarios, and all those 3 ways are how to properly refund the client or apply credits in order for the accounting piece to be correct on QuickBooks Online. Okay, lastly, this is writing off bad debts. So if you provided a service for a client, but they will not pay you. This is how to write off that invoice. So let's say XYZ here, they're not gonna pay us $500 worth of this invoice. They never will. We're not gonna bring them to collections. So we are going to write down this invoice. So in our sales module, we will have to create a bad debts account in products and services. We'll select create new. It will be a service. I'm sorry, it'll be a non-inventory item. We'll say bad debts. I think I already have it, so I'm gonna just put a number associated. It'll be a non-inventory item here. And then our mapping account is going to be a bad debts account. Okay. So we've created our bad debts. So now that customer XYZ, he's not gonna pay us $500. We are going to create a credit memo. We're gonna select bad debts here. So the one I just created. And then the amount is going to be $500. And it is calculating sales tax on it. So if I don't want them to calculate, there you go. I'll uncheck this box. They just won't pay us $500. And we're gonna save and close here. Now same process, the credit memo is going to be hanging out in the AR, so we'll just have to apply the credit memo that we just created to the outstanding invoice. So we'll go to receive payments, XYZ, and if you can see here, the invoice is there as well as our bad debts credit memo. And that properly wrote down this invoice and put the rest to bad debts. Yes. Yep, so it's going to hit the expense portion in that current period. So let's say, you wrote an invoice on 12/31 of the prior year. You've already recognized that income for that year. So in order to properly record the bad debts in the current year, we're gonna hit the expense account. Yeah, so if I wrote off that whole invoice, doing that receive payment will completely wipe out that customer. But you'll want to make sure that receive payment is in the current year, not the prior year when the invoice was created. It's a great question. Any other questions?
Recommend credit memos for bad debt over journal entry. That shows the information, although it's there, doesn't actually show up in that customer transaction history, where a credit memo will. So you can go in and look, see why and where it came from, and then it gives you more reporting options as well versus the journal entry. So, we like to keep them kind of within their module. So if there is a way to do it, we'll use those transactions. Don't get me wrong, we still do them. Sometimes, take a get off. We got to do a journal entry, but if we can avoid the journal entries when we're doing AR and or AP, it just works better. That sticks with that vendor.
So if you do have to use a journal entry, you can still use that receive payment to apply it. A journal entry will still show up as long as that journal entry has that customer name on that line. All right, any other questions? Okay, so we're gonna hop over to receiving payment. So now we've went through the process of, we created estimates, we made them into invoices. During the process of trying to collect money, we wrote off some of the credits, we had some bad debt. Now we're finally ready to receive our payment for this invoice. So now there's two ways to receive payments. We can go to the plus new, receive payment. We can also go find that invoice and directly hit the receive payment button, and I'll go through both ways. So receive payment. So it's going to tell you how much we still need to receive from this client. We can hit, we'll put the amount received here. So here's the payment date. You can select the payment method. We can also put a reference number here. These two are not required. And this is the account that we'll touch more on. Right now, this is going to undeposited funds, or you can put it directly into your checking account. We'll go over through undeposited funds in a little bit. If you want to if you know you're going to be paid for the whole amount, you can select this invoice, and then this will automatically update. So that's receive payment on the plus new. I'm going to hop over to the actual invoice. If I want to find the invoice. Here's our invoice that we are finally ready to get paid for. You can select hit receive payment up here. It'll bring you to the same screen. Okay, so now there's two different ways that we recommend to receive payment and deposit to. So one way is to put it directly into your checking account. In this instance here, this would be a one-for-one check. So let's say you received a check for $4,753 and change. You're going to the bank right after this, deposit it. In the bank, you'll see one check received to this one check, to this one received payment. When it's a one-on-one, go ahead and deposit it straight to your checking account. However, let's say that day you've received 5 different checks, 15 different checks. You're going to go to the bank. You're going to deposit a bunch of checks at one. When those checks clear the bank, it will come in one lump sum deposit on your bank. And QuickBooks Online will not recognize when this happens. When you clear the bank, it will not recognize a different, all the bunch of lump sums, like a batch entry, and it will not alleviate all your invoices. So when you do have an instance where you are depositing multiple checks at once, this is when we want to use the undeposited funds entry here. So all of these invoices, let's say there's a batch of invoices, they're going to be in undeposited funds. We'll save and close here. Now immediately after, since it's fresh in your head, which exact invoices and checks that you deposited, we're going to select make deposit, bank deposit here. And then, so that's going to go there. So all of these are in undeposited funds currently. You'll just select all of the checks that were in that batch. So on your bank, when you do your bank recs, you'll see a lump sum of 6,660. So all of your payments, or all of your invoices are received. They are relieved on the AR, you've received the payment. Now in the bank, when you do your bank recs, the lump sum is there. This will help with the bank rec portion. And come bank rec time, you're not scrambling to say, hey, what checks were deposited in this batch? All right, any questions here? Perfect. Okay. QuickBooks Online does have a nice feature. If some of you use Square or PayPal, you know, there's a lot of fees associated with it. QuickBooks Online has their own payment center, and I just wanted to just briefly go over it. There's a chart on the PowerPoint that shows the comparative fees. It's quite nice if you want to set up online payments. You can have the customer put their email in there, and then they can pay directly through that email. You'll get paid faster. The fees are comparable to Square, and there's less work on your end to receive the payment because you'll see that one-on-one EFT transfer. So right here, payment links, sit back and send a payment link. That's where you can get that set up. Just keep in mind that you'll need the customer's email and they can pay through that email.
Got credit cards and stuff like that. You know, it's kind of nice to build in, and so with the rates being very comparable to other processing companies, and it's built in. So as soon as you like sign up for the service and you're doing everything, you can actually go into here and go to account settings, see the payments, and then you can pull up the statement. It will take you to the merchant account. You can see like when something was processed, it was declined, why it was declined. You can kind of see all of that stuff in real time, basically inside your QuickBooks Online, and then it does a lot of it for you. So you send the invoice to the customer clicks yes, they paid. QuickBooks will actually bring that payment in and make that deposit for you. So like it does that process along the way for you with notification of like this is what happened. So it is a nice feature. You know, if it works for your company and stuff like that, it's great. On the other side, you know, but and you can even type in your card. You don't have to have, you know, like a scanner or anything like that. You can type in on the card and you can actually process it too. So if somebody calls you on the phone and it's like, hey, it's not working, but I want to pay you, you can open up the invoice and actually pay it. And type that information. And then you don't have to store it in QuickBooks, like their card information. You can if you want to, so if it's recurring revenue that you want to charge them once a month, you can set that up as well because of the way that it's just keep that in mind as you're going through it. Like I said, for the most part, the rates are pretty comparable. Square to Shopify. They take all the things. And then also you can find out if there's a little bit extra that you can do if you sell maybe Cash App and Venmo. So they're expanding allows for more of a world. You have to put it on the invoice before you do. So it's kind of one of those that I've seen a lot of clients where they'll do like just their standard invoice and then they'll have an extra line that says like credit card fees. And basically in the description it's like if you pay with a credit card, this is the amount you should pay, it's the rate, check. You pay without, like minus that. And if they don't pay that amount, but a lot of times credit cards they're gonna put whatever on there and not be able to stuff it. So, but it's like if they're gonna actually like give that, they're gonna get that for the most part. So that is probably the best way right now. I know a lot of people have the feature of adding that on automatically with the ability to process that pops up. But right now, in a lot of companies they're having So I think QuickBooks is trying, I know getting more and more, there are 104 companies that I'm guessing in the future it will be an option to be able to add it. I think it's flexible. They can pay with ACH too, so it's not just credit card. You can just turn on the ACH function where they can pay you with ACH instead, and it's 25 cents or 50 cents or something a transaction. Obviously a lot better than
Credit card.
3.5% or whatever credit card is. So that's another option. If you don't want to accept credit cards, you don't want to use it, turn on.
Yep.
It's the same process. If you still sign up for their account, it's hard to see in here because we don't obviously have the service turned on in our demo file, but
Yeah. Yeah, I think if you have it turned on, it'll be on this page here. There'll be a button that says pay with credit card, pay with EFT. We just don't have that, so it won't populate for us. So yeah, something to look into. It's under the sales module, payment links, and you can set it up here. Here, if you want to look at the rates, this is in the screenshot in the PowerPoint, but I know I can't. Definitely, okay, here you go. So here's our rates stack up. So cards and digital wallets, 2.99% versus Square and Stripe. They list their pricing here. ACH bank payments, 1%. Card reader, 2.5%. So if you actually have a card reader, it's less. And then keyed in cards at 3.5%. So, yeah, it's quite a nice feature, and it comes in nicely on your bank rec too. And it'll match one-to-one on your invoices. So. Any other questions? We're gonna hop over to reporting. But do you guys feel comfortable in the area module now? How to write off invoices, receive payments, all that good stuff? Yeah. Mhm.
A lot of times, yes, people will take a credit in
The next month.
because a lot of times too with those, right, you're gonna pay your sales tax for, so, September. So like August, you're gonna pay your September, but when you do it, if you may have noticed, like, oh, I should have written off X, Y, Z, or so, like I should have done it. You're gonna do that in September because you're already done the process, right? You're gonna do those adjustments in September, so if you do and if you would have done, the credit memo type stuff, that would have been applied in September, so when you go to do your September, those credits would have been.
It would have.
So if you didn't, it's fine, just make sure that you make the adjustment on the sales tax liability, like go back. Yep, there's one where it says like add adjustment, and then you have a couple options. And just put it in, and then it will adjust through that.
Yeah. Sales taxes. It'll be in our general questions and problems that we've run into. So we'll kind of touch base on like the actual, like if there is a problem, we'll kind of go over those a little bit. Oh, we have 10 minutes. Oh, okay. There's a lot of information in this module. Okay. Oh, it signed me out. Okay, hop back into our Let's file. Real quick, briefly, we'll go over reports. We kind of went over the AR aging report. So this is how the standard looks. If you know that you're going to be using your AR aging, go ahead and put a star right here. That's just for your own customization under your favorites. So it'll pop up. You don't have to scroll all the way down to look at it. I scroll down here. So it's all the way here. So who owes you? These are all the reports built into QuickBooks already. If you want to do some customized reports, you'd have to go here and customize reports. So construction companies with like retainage, there will be some limitations with the reporting feature there. We'll kind of briefly go over that. But there's a bunch of reports in AR, some common reports that are utilized, AR receiving aging summary, open invoices report, customer balance summary, sales by customer summary, and estimates by customers. So in the who owes you is where the AR aging reports are. And if we keep scrolling down, that's for AP, expensive vendors. Okay. There's some sales tax reports, huh? Did I miss it? Sales and what you owe. This one? Sorry. Okay. There's sales and customers. So there's a bunch of reports you can run for your customers. So this little star button, we'll just move it all to the top there. Okay, then I'm gonna hop over to our PowerPoint. I know we are low on time here. Okay, some common errors that we've seen. As you know, our team here, we'll get a file, we'll see, we'll clean up, and these are some of the common errors that we see, recognize, and help our clients clean up. When our clients are using the accounts receivable module, sometimes we've noticed that sales are doubled up. So let's say you create an invoice, but you don't hit receive payment. Instead, you go to your bank rec and add a deposit. Well, that's going to be doubling up on your sales because on the invoice, you've recognized sales. And then on your actual bank deposit, you've recognized sales again. So this is when utilizing the receive payment and the undeposited funds is important to make sure that you're not doubling up on sales. So that's a problem that we see all the time. We also see in our accounts aging report, we'll see customer balances to be negative. So we'll do a lot of cleanup there. And I mentioned briefly limitations with retainage. We do have a specialized team here at Lutz to help with those types of reports. So if you do need those types of reports, go ahead and reach out to any of us here and we will help you get that set up in your QuickBooks file. So tracking customer deposits or prepayments, we recommend using a service item. So let's say you collect customer deposits and then eventually you'll pay them back. In that service, in the products and service item line, go ahead and create a customer deposits line item and have it mapped to, customer deposits. It's going to be a liability since you're going to be paying it back. That way it'll show up in a different section and you can, use that to track the deposits. And again, sales tax here, we see a lot of times sales tax is not calculating correctly. We do have a specialized team here at Let's too to help with those sales tax issues and QuickBooks Online. Typically, it's just like a one-time cleanup and then going forward, it runs pretty smoothly. So if you do have specific problems, please reach out to us. We are happy to help alleviate those issues. And I think that's all I've got. Any other questions here? We have, yes. So it's your workers, so you're trying to build your workers' time to specific jobs, like job tracking. Okay, let's chat after. That's a more specific question. Okay. Without diving in and looking at the file, I don't know if I can provide the right answer, but reach out to, you'll have our emails here and it's kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything you guys want to see again? We have about 5 minutes here. No?